Hello, friends. Today I wanted to dance around the subject of anxiety. I had an experience today that was resolved today, but started yesterday. So I had an experience. I went to the gym rather early. Shaylee had taken off for work. I ended up the class got canceled. So I was like, oh man, bummer. No anxiety. And then got out to my car, key in the ignition, wouldn't start. What the heck's going on? Couldn't get my heater to work, mad cold. Sitting there, I'm texting Shaylee. We're trying to figure out like who's awake, who can give me a ride home. It's only like 6:30 because the class is canceled. But through this whole experience, it seemed to be a lot of like one thing after the next, and this isn't working, and this isn't working, and then we forgot this, and then her parents were helping me out, pick me up, and then there was a lot of room for anxiety in this situation. So what I noticed though is that frankly I didn't get stressed at all in this situation. Like I got home today, my car's in the driveway. What happened? We just had this battery issue. I went to Walmart, didn't cost me anything, switched it right out, good to go. I wasn't mad at the people. I didn't feel like super inconvenienced. It didn't cause an argument between Shaylee and I. It was just this smooth situation, right? It was just this like, for someone who deals with anxiety, deals with depression, it seems that a situation of this matter would make that person stressed out, be like, oh man, this is not great. But I think that I think that a lot of anxiety is situational. Actually, I think situational to that specific person, not meaning it depends on the situation. I think it depends on a lot of my anxiety is a lot of times when I have to present myself in certain ways, when I have to push against my boundaries of what makes me comfortable. So like, stage fright. This is a different anxiety. For example, if you're nervous to go up on stage to give a speech, to stand up in front of a class, to speak to people, this makes you nervous because it's pushing against your boundaries. Maybe you're not a good public speaker, but you want to be. So finding this discomfort, this dis-ease, is that's where your anxiety resides. That's what clips it on. So if you're like, oh, I'm prepared to. For example, I was going to present some poetry at an open mic night the other night. And the hour started getting closer and closer. And I started just getting more and more anxiety. And I was like, what the heck, man? I'm pumped about this thing. I want to do this. This is that thing. I'm hyped. I've been thinking about doing this. I've written so many poems. I'm so ready to do this. And then I started like rewriting more, and I'm like, I don't really want to say that one. You start second guessing, and then I'm just like deep a couple hours before, and I'm like, I'm so stressed. I don't think I could do this anymore. Like, what? This sucks. I was excited about this all week. So there's the anxiety of pushing against yourself, pushing against your comfort zone, right? And that anxiety took me out of the knees, honestly. I ended up not even going at all. Like, not even just not performing, but I was like, at this point, I'm having such an awful time with my brain here that I don't even want to go. So this anxiety took me out of the knees, and this was just last weekend. So my correlation between these two different things, it's like, man, this is the crippling anxiety that I felt from not going to the open mic night to perform my poetry was enough to make me just plummet. Like, it was just like hours of just diving deep, just revolting back and reverting back into these like layers of self-hate, right? It was like, what the fuck, man? How could I possibly be so confident in this thing? And then I get a little nervous, I get a little stage fright, and I end up bailing on the whole thing. Like, what is that all about? Am I even in control of my thoughts anymore? What's going on here? So the difference between these two, and the importance in that difference, I think, is one is pushing against who we are. There's different kinds of anxiety. This anxiety is challenging who I am. It's challenging who I've grown up to be. It's if I get past this anxiety, so whatever this is, maybe to you, your open mic night poetry, you're like, I want to do this thing, this thing that only you can do, that you're kind of nervous about to present to the world, whatever it may be. That thing is what, that, once you open that door, right, I'm going to do this thing. Once I do this thing, I'll realize that it's not so nerve-wracking. I'll realize that I can do it all the time, and I'll realize that people like me, and all these things. It could lead to these, if you're positive about it, it could lead to these wonderful things, right? If you think, like, if I complete this goal, if I get to this thing, if I go up on stage and I say my poetry and I'm done, and I get the daps at the end, and it really wasn't so bad and I wasn't so stressed. Well, now you've just opened this, boom, like all of a sudden your anxieties from before are solved, because you've just told your brain, you just proven to yourself, you've just proven to your physical body here, you just, dude, look, we got on stage, we're good, we're great. You were so stressed, that's cool, but we got on stage and we did it and we pulled through. And now it opens up this new door for all these new problems, right? Like this discomfort, potentially, but these are all great things. You know, as you level up in life, you have different problems. So the anxiety that comes with ripping a whole new fork in the road open for yourself, ripping a whole new lane open for problems, really. I mean, we as a physical being, as a meat pod, we want to stay safe. We want to be in our cave. Change and pushing ourselves and opening up in this new way, it opens up this whole world of unknowing, of not knowing, of scary, scary world. Well, I mean, when you're safe not doing poetry, when you're safe not getting on stage and expressing what gives you anxiety, what gives you stress, what pushes against your boundaries of who you are and where you are right now, when you're not doing those things, you're safe, you're in your cave, you're here, you're good. So a lot of times our anxiety will, if we build things up to be such a big deal, which is what I do a lot of the times with, when you obsessively think about things, sometimes you make them a big deal. You're like, oh man, if I nail this, then this could happen, and this could happen, and this, and you make things a huge deal. So instead of just saying, let's just take this step, you say, oh, if I take this step, that means that I gotta jump to the top of all the other steps, and then I gotta run all the way up there, and I can't stop. As soon as I take that first step, I can't stop going, because then I gotta go all the way up the stairs. We do these crazy things to ourselves in our heads. We're like, this step here means this. So whatever you may have that's your poetry, your open mic night poetry, whether you're a creator, whether you're a business person who maybe you're just presenting an original idea in whatever form that may be, whether it's at work, perhaps you're even just the anxiety of presenting an original idea, or like hey, can we try to once a week go on a date night to your significant other? Like even just pushing against, like, we haven't gone on a date night for 5 years, and all of a sudden, like, now we've got to do this thing, we've got to commit to this thing. If we go Friday, that means that every Friday for the rest of our life we're going to have to go, because that's what we're committing to. Like, we need to do date night every week. So what our brain does is it puts this first step in with this whole thing if you aren't careful, right? So what you got to do is you got to back up. And I was thinking the comparison that I said at the beginning of today's situation, right? Of my car battery not working, of the gym class being canceled, all these things that should have given me anxiety, and I didn't feel a freaking pinch of anxiety. And it was, I think, a lot of my not having anxiety in these moments, a lot of these everyday typical moments, these things that's like, oh, this shouldn't give me anxiety. Like, this is something that I'm prepared for this, man. I'm prepared. This is okay. Sometimes a battery dies. Like, sometimes you get a flat tire, you know? Like, these things, anybody wants to be prepared for the stress management of these situations. Breezing through it gave me a good, like, stronghold, because, you know, last week I haven't beaten myself up really after not going to that open mic night. Like, I bailed last minute, and I was like, dude, I can't go. And frankly, I spent it wasn't just that, I had some other things I was dealing with, but I spent the night like in tears, you know. I wasn't doing so hot. It wasn't a great night for me. But those areas, I bring up the difference in these things, in what stands out to me so profoundly, and why I want to point it out, is the stress management is different for different things that we do. There's different levels of things that give us anxiety. There's different levels of anxiety. There's different reasons why we have anxiety. If small situations stress you out, there's a lot of things that can help. Of course, breath work, yoga, meditation, eating right, not drinking alcohol, not drinking a ton of caffeine. There's so many things that just help, like little percentage, like, oh, this helps a little bit, this chips away at my anxiety, this chips away at my anxiety, I feel a little more level-headed here. So when things pop up, it's not like, oh God, I have this huge thing I need to deal with. It's like things come at you and you're like, yeah, yoink, yoink, here we go, ding, ding, cool, what's up, what's next? You're just ready, you're ready to roll with the punches, you're good. But when you have you've got to separate these two anxiety things, because I don't think that all of our, like, if you're someone who is, if you're here, if you're watching this for whatever reason and you're like, I want to improve my stress management, I want to work on my stress management, I want to help my physiology, I want to not get so anxious, I want to work on my depression, all these things, whatever your whatever ails you here, you just separating them, I think, is in realizing that they're all different. Like, every time you get stressed out, it's not the same exact thing. You can't have one magical answer that will just solve every time you get stressed out. There is certain things that our body does when you're like, oh, okay, my heart's increasing, palms are sweaty, knees weak, spaghetti on my sweater already, Eminem Reddit reference. But you have these physical sensations, but they are a bit different, and a lot of times they come with certain thoughts, right? When it's about ourself, we start breaking ourselves down. We start, I'm not capable of this because of this, right? I'm not capable, if I do this, that means this, and I'm not that. That's not me. I know who I am. That's not me. I ain't doing that. Who the fuck am I fooling? All these things. But when you can notice the difference that our body communicates to us in these different situations, in different anxieties in our life, these different compartments of, like, is this work anxiety, is this relationship anxiety, is this personal fulfillment anxiety? Again, don't label all these things and sit with that, like, oh, I have relationship anxiety, it's so bad. Labeling these things is only a helpful tool using the scientific method, correct? Problem solving. Okay, so I have this thing, I'm going to narrow it down, I'm going to get this other shit out of the way. Okay, this is my anxiety about spoken word poetry. Cool, why is it? It's different than this car breaking down anxiety over here, for sure, right? Let's handle this. Cool. What can I do to help this? So separating our anxieties, separating, again, please don't label them, don't give yourself this deeming, like, I have this thing and now it's another thing that's just fucking attached to my face. That's what happens with YouTube videos a lot of times. I feel like we'll watch these and be like, oh man, I relate to what that dude's saying, I have that thing. So be careful that you're not doing that. Add this into, if it hits you, add it into your tool belt of things like, okay, cool, I see that a little bit different. This helps me not throw my whole issues into one big scary ass bowl of, I'd never want to deal with all those, because I don't see it as one step, I see it as a whole staircase thing, so just anyway, to round things out, I'll just go with everyday struggles are gonna pop up regardless. You're gonna be late for work. You're going to, your battery's gonna die. You're gonna get a flat tire. Your boss is gonna be a jerk to you. Maybe they're having a bad day. Your coworkers aren't gonna connect with you much one of these days. I mean, there's all these things that can happen in your life, these small little anxieties, and you gotta say, okay, what is this? You feel it coming up. Okay. This is a thing, the situation is happening, whether I'm gonna be stressed about it or not. Is this something that I can reason with myself about? If not, is this something that I can say, okay, this mess of thoughts putting up my yes and no thoughts into a thought boxing ring. A thought boxing ring, that's interesting. And having them duke it out doesn't seem to be helping me. It's increasing the outside effects of this anxiety. My physiology is changing. No, when the thoughts come up, instead of trying to handle them all right now, say your car battery's dead, you're turning over your key, instead of just like, oh no, not right now, oh no, please not today, and then you're like, no, this is good, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's great to just let go of the thoughts, and sounds ridiculous, even in times of like, I need to think, how do I get out of the situation? Sometimes it's best to just get present, right? Get present, and by that I mean like, okay, take my hand off the ignition for a second. Let's sit here. What seems to be happening? Cool. Got out of the gym. Car's not started. Not great. Not my first choice. Cool. That's done. That doesn't mean my car's not started. And this always fucking happens to me because every car I've ever driven is always, and this is the worst thing. And I had a bad day yesterday and all these things because we fucking compound all the things that happen to us. And we create, this is my personality of who I am. Of course, I deserve this situation to happen. Can't do that to ourselves, right? So put the keys in the ignition, doesn't start. Lean back, man, this situation, not great. But take a look, take a look at your senses. Smell if you have to, taste if you have to, listen if you have to, use your old peripherals. Get back to this situation, not your thoughts about the situation, not your assessment of who you are because of the situation and because of your initial reaction. Even if you get mad at first and you punch the damn dash, that happens. A lot of times it happens. A lot of people have this, man, crap, this sucks so bad. But you got to be able to say, okay, in the car, what's up? Look at your situation. Ground yourself in your senses. Sometimes solving it all right now, while our mind is in this boxing match, or our mind is in this terrible debacle, isn't the best thing. Sometimes you need to change your state. So change your state if these things happen to you. Just notice that when they're happening, these little everyday problems, these little everyday issues, these dead batteries, these broken windshield wipers, whatever it is, not just car related, of course, but whatever pops into your head that you relate to when I speak about my dead car battery here. Just note them and know that it's different. Know that it's different than your open mic night poetry. We all have these dreams that we're living in the back of our heads. Like, man, this is your car dying does not mean that you're so irresponsible that you're never gonna have your fucking shit together. So you can never have kids and you're never going to attract the right husband because your shit's not together. Look at me, my car battery just died. I can't do this, I can't do that. When we put everything into a pile and we don't separate them and kind of move some stuff out of the way to deal with one at a time, we put it all on that thing. So if you have something that you're dreaming of, you have something that you feel nervous about, don't put that thing on your dead battery. Don't add it in there, So just wanted to explain a little bit on anxiety. I hope to offer more of these. So if you have any questions on anything specific in here, I would love to answer it. Please just comment. I hope that helps you see maybe that you aren't your thoughts, maybe that you aren't alone in your thoughts, maybe that it's a long road, it seems like a lot, but when you kind of see your thoughts and your body's reaction to them as what they are, you can start to catch it and say, okay, anxiety. I see what you're telling me. This doesn't mean this craziness that I instantly thought it meant, like this terrible thing. It just means this situation here. Now, let's handle it. You can handle it. Have a good rest of your day, guys.